Hey guys, how y'all doing? I wanted to talk about the New York Giants, and I wanted to talk about Pat Shurmur and his future. I'm not really a Shurmur fan. Pat Shurmur has never won a playoff game. He's never won more than 5 games as a head coach. He was a failure in Cleveland, and he was a failure this year. Pat Shurmur this year was terrible against Jacksonville. He was not good against the Dallas Cowboys. That game was atrocious game planning wise, and he just can't plan. And you can't blame anything on Eli Manning at quarterback. You see how limited Jared Goff has in terms of tools and how successful he was in his first year. Eli Manning is a veteran in this NFL. You have Odell Beckham Jr., Edelman in the slot was so successful in the Super Bowl. Julian Edelman, the Patriots have a lot less pieces than the Giants. The Giants have Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, Odell Beckham, and Saquon Barkley. And that offense was atrocious for so much of this year. The offense was terrible in the Dallas game. Even against Houston, they barely scored 23 points. Then they came back and played New Orleans, and that offense was an utter joke with no downfield passing. And he lost the locker room. You know, Odell Beckham was in that locker room, and he was complaining about Pat Shurmur and the play calls. I believe even later in the season, you had the Odell Beckham again causing problems. So Pat Shurmur elected with Dave Gettleman to sign Odell Beckham. And then all Odell Beckham does is insult Patrick Shurmur. And basically, the asset that you agreed to sign is basically insulting you to the public, and you're basically having a whole feud because of the player that you decided to sign on your watch. Now, if the owner made you sign Odell Beckham so that you could sign all these jerseys and so that Odell Beckham can sign all these kids' jerseys and you had no choice and you didn't want to resign, then that's kind of an understandable problem, which is an ownership kind of a problem. And I probably would have resigned. If I was a head coach in the league and the owner told me that you have to sign this player that's going to rip me publicly to the media every single week, I might have resigned on the spot. But I look at Shurmur. He's dry. He's boring as the day is long. I'm not a fan of Shurmur. I thought that the coach was an okay hire. I never was completely that excited by it. And there's better candidates that are out there. Shane Waldron is a much better candidate. He graduated from Tufts University, Shane Waldron, and Shane Waldron's going to be a guy that is going to be very successful in this league because he was with Bill Belichick, he was with Sean McVay, he went overseas, he went to Tufts. He's a guy who's very, very smart. He worked tight end, he worked wide receivers coach, he worked as the passing game coordinator and came up with really creative concepts when the Rams don't even have that good of wide receivers outside of maybe Todd Gurley or outside of Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. And I'm telling you, those guys are not that great of receivers. Kevin O'Connell from the Washington Redskins is going to be a fantastic executive. He's going to be a great head coach. He has the perfect demeanor to do it. He's young. He's fun. He's able to motivate guys. He's a brilliant communicator. He's so bright. He played the quarterback position in the NFL. He's going to be the next Matt Nagy. He just has such a positive attitude, and he's going to create a great culture. Kevin O'Connell is brilliant, and he's great. Waldron and O'Connell are so much better than Shurmur. And then you also have Chris Richard, who's the ultimate defensive wizard, the ultimate guy that is able to galvanize the football team. So Chris Richard, from a defensive standpoint, is a brilliant teacher, a brilliant communicator. He's such a hands-on teacher. And the Dallas Cowboys fans, they don't want him leaving, which is why he's so prizable. You look at Pat Shurmur, and if he were fired by the New York Giants next year, nobody would really be calling for the guy's services. He is very bland. He's even worse than Harbaugh. And in this conference, when you have Matt Nagy, McVay, Shanahan, all these coaches that are successful, I don't believe the Giants are going to be successful under Shurmur, and you're going to end up firing him. So that's the bottom line. If I were the Giants, I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking this guy doesn't make it past the second season. That's just my opinion about Pat Shurmur, and I'm going to let loose with opinions. I'm not going to hold anything back, and I want you guys on this channel, I want you to hear some original stuff from original people, okay? So that's my thoughts on Patrice Shurmur and the New York Giants.